they got to wake up with their piss hot. So, you just got to be ready to go. And that's reality. That is the way it is.
Woke up with my piss hot. What a way to start. Sweat on my forehead, racing hard. Woke up with my piss hot. Ready to ignite. Let's raise some hell. Let's own the night.
Daniels, just a rookie. 26 out of 30. 87%. 231 yards. He rushes for 47. He's doing everything. Shredded, baby. C.J. Stroud, 345 yards, brings the Texans back, wins it at the buzzer. Shred him, Stroud.
Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, powered by Flurry Sports. It can be tough to win a fantasy league on your own, but at FFBC, we will work together to bring home the hardware. Hosted by Zach Bruner and the rest of the Flurry Sports crew, we will give top-level analysis, answer your questions, and, well, go off on other tangents.
That was after I tried to get ChatGPT to admit that 9/11 was an inside job, but it stood firm. It gave quite a few solid points that it was true.
Welcome to Fantasy Football by Committee. The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Henry? All right, I guess I'm hosting. I don't know what's going on with him, but we are back. It's the sit for week 12 here. I'm Zach McAdoo. He's Henry John, who might not know what's going on right now. He's blurry as fuck, though, I can tell you that. Henry, how are we doing tonight?
I just got through the intro. How are you? I hit the play on the nice little hype stuff, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what was going on. Now I'm here. What did I miss?
I don't know. You just looked. You were in space up the stairs. I was like, something needs to happen here. It's too much dead air. Okay, but we're here. We're here in week 12. It's two? Well, it should be 3 weeks to fantasy football playoffs. I just found out one of my leagues. Holy shit! Starts week 14. That's a mistake, right?
That's really rough, man, because you've got 4 teams on bye. I think it is in week 14,
6.
Right?
It's 6.
It's 6?
Yes, 6 this week, 6 week 14.
And so you're going to be contending with that. Is it a case where you have are the playoff rounds 2 weeks, or is it still 1 week?
No, they're 2 week playoff rounds, but I didn't make the playoffs in this one. I will talk about this more off air if you want, but the fucking points in this one are so stupid. We get bonuses if they get 100 yards rushing, 100 yards receiving, get bonuses for a 40-yard touchdown. I fucking hate that. Why is that a thing? Come on. It's so stupid.
I have to not be putting a ton of money on the line. I think if I'm going to play in a league with wild rules like that, I like, every now and then, I like a little tight end premium action. I like some yardage bonuses if you have a really big game. I don't know about 100 yards. It's up the ante a little bit, but I'm kind of old school. I like the classic setting. Just give me PPR. I think a lot of rules, a lot of leagues have poor rules as far as kickers are concerned. It seems like kickers can accumulate points really quickly sometimes. So, if I'm going through making the settings and you're missing a 40-yard field goal, Justin Tucker, you're going to lose more than just 1 point for that. So that's one thing that I know, man. I hate to say it. I hate it, but he's got to. I'm pretty sure Bruner's line in the NFL Power Rankings article on Flurry Sports this week was he needs to get his head out of his ass if the Ravens are going to make a run. So we'll see if he can do that. As far as making the fantasy football playoffs is concerned, if you are someone who, for whatever reason, has their head in their ass. It's time to get it out because there are 2/3 weeks to go here in the regular season. And if you're already in the playoffs, cool. Let's get you the best seed possible. So we're here for all the start-sit questions tonight. Whatever you got, throw them at us. Trade deadline in a lot of leagues this week. If you're looking to make a last-minute trade to improve your roster, move some guys around, you can fire that at us as well. We'll go up to kickoff of Thursday Night Football, which is AFC North Clash Steelers-Browns tonight. In some weather, McAdoo. It's going to be interesting. I like the old-school Baker Mayfield jersey. Boy, what would the Browns be if they had just kept Baker instead of Deshaun Watson? We got a couple questions popping up in the chat, so we can jump into those. What you got?
But let me get this, because I had a good quip before we get into the questions, which that's where he was going. I mean, imagine if they kept the good guy in Baker Mayfield, the guy who actually matured into an adult, and instead of trading for Groper Cleveland over there, who just tore his fucking meniscus for the third time in his career. Fuck that guy. Deshaun Watson, you can suck a dick because you're a piece of shit. Okay, let me start off here. Quick question. Do I bench Pickens with the bad weather, have Sutton and Reed as backups? This is a tough one, actually, because I do have Pickens, I have Sutton, and I traded you Jaden Reed not too long ago.
You did. That was in a dynasty.
Which, by the way, we are clinched into the playoffs. Thank you very much.
The total has dropped like a rock. Total has dropped like a rock in this game. It's down into the mid-30s. So I'm not expecting much scoring. I'm not expecting a whole lot of passing from either side. That said, the Broncos, Cortland Sutton, they got the Raiders this week. So I would probably go with him, right?
In theory, yes. The Raiders that look like crap. But in the article I posted, in the article I have Cortland Sutton as a sit because of the way that he played against the Raiders the first time around, where he only had 2 receptions. I think it was 32 or 36 yards. So, I mean, I think maybe with the way the weather's looking, Sutton is looking better because who knows what's going to happen with Pickens. But who do the Packers play this week?
The Packers have the Chicago Bears, right?
No, that was last week.
49ers, my bad.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
1 week behind there. That's not as daunting of a matchup as it once was, but for me, I would be going Sutton. I think of these three, I got to go against the Raiders.
I don't want to go against my article, but I'm going to go against the article right now and say Cortland Sutton because I don't trust Pickens right now.
You came around. By the way, I love the Toronto Raptors logo as well. We the North. Good to see that on the Twitch as well. Thank you for the question. He also goes on to say, hell yeah, Deshaun Watson haters. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't think there's anyone at Flurry Sports that likes Deshaun Watson.
Is there anyone anywhere who likes Deshaun Watson? I think
there are defenders, I'm sure.
There was some bogus Twitter account or X account that may or may not have been a burner account. I don't know the way it was talking about that guy. But anyways, we digress. He goes on to say everyone he's asked has said Cortland Sutton, but I questioned it because they're a red on sleeper made me hesitant. The way Bo Nix and that offense is maturing and playing, I think you have to look at the matchup and you have to look at how that offense has developed. In a normal week, start Pickens. But with the weather tonight, Steelers are only laying 3 points. The totals dropped like a rock in that game. I think it was 36.5 when I looked. It would be Sutton for me in that matchup. So all good things to consider. But let's see here. What else we got? Eric Yoon on X. Hello. A standard league. Here we go. Fun one. Help me pick 2. Deebo Samuel, Juwan Jennings, Zay Flowers, Cortland Sutton once again. So Samuel and Jennings, both with the Niners, they'll be up against the Packers, McAdoo, Zay Flowers, and the Ravens. They
Chargers against Monday night, and then Sutton against the Raiders, like we talked about.
Yep. Chargers Monday night is that extra matchup in there. I'm Mr. Juwan Jennings stan over here, so I'm going to be curious to hear what you have to say, especially given this is a standard. But I feel like my bias is going to creep in here a little bit. potentially. I mean, if you agree with me, then I will say there is no bias. But what do you think here?
You have to go Debo because you figure he's going to be getting carries, going to be getting throwing the ball. Despite that's probably maybe I'm naive because I'm looking at years past and this year he's been a fucking dud for me. I want to say Zay Flowers, but the Chargers, like I'm pretty sure the Chargers have been like time possession thieves. And the way the Ravens looked last week against the Steelers was not great at all. But granted, that's the Steelers defense, so I'm gonna go Debo, and I'll bite the bullet on Flowers.
I actually think I'm going to agree with you because it is standard. I don't know how you can leave Deebo Samuel out when it is a standard league and you're not getting that 1 point per reception like we typically discuss. A lot of questions come in from PPR leagues, let alone even just half a point. So that would bump Samuel over Juwan Jennings, I think, for sure. PPR, maybe it's a bit closer. Deebo's due for a big game, though. So I completely hear what you're saying there as far as the carries and everything. And the Chargers are, time of possession hogs, solid defense, whatever you want to say. The past couple of weeks against some better offensive teams, that defense hasn't been quite as good. I think it's still a good unit. I've heard a lot of people this week say, well, Chargers defense is just showing it's completely fugazi. I'm not buying that. But I think you go with Zay Flowers there as the wide receiver one in that offense. It'll be interesting to see how the Chargers defense decides to play Lamar Jackson because, if you're just going to drop cover whatever, they're just going to run it on you. And Derrick Henry will go off. So that'll be an interesting matchup to watch. Courtland Sutton, though, against the Raiders, you sure you want Zay Flowers over him? Because that's where I come back to, and I'm thinking about this, and that's tough for me to go against.
I mean, they locked him down the first matchup. Granted, I think Bo Nix has turned a corner, but still, I still division matchups always tough. I still got to lean towards Flowers.
Fair enough. We're in agreement on Debo, and then Zay Flowers or Courtland Sutton for that second one would be. We're splitting hairs there, I guess. So, hopefully, that was helpful. Hopefully, helped you clarify at least one of those, and then narrow down the second one. All good options, though. So, love your wide receiver core. James Brown on X. Cedric Tillman or Jalen Waddle. Dolphins have the Patriots, correct? And then the Browns tonight against the Steelers. In weather is a scary proposition. We just fantasy football, so I'm going to shift my mindset back to PPR since it wasn't specified. Tillman dropped off last week. We saw both Jerry Jeudy and Elijah Moore do decent things. This has got to be Jalen Waddle for me, even though the Patriots do have some good young talent in the secondary.
Yeah, it's got to be Jalen. If not for the weather, I'm saying Cedric Tillman. Because of the weather, we don't know what it's going to play like tonight. It has to be Jalen Waddle because I don't think they're going to be passing much tonight. I think it's just going to be a lot of handoffs to Nick Chubb and the Pittsburgh backfield because they split carries there, so can't really specify one.
I agree. Zach, hopefully my microphone's a little better now. Sorry, I was leaning far away from it. It's a cheap one. I'm just trying to make it work out here. Let's see. Bryce on YouTube. Am I still here?
Yeah.
Why are my questions not pulling up? Is Bryce's question up? It says it is, but it's
yes,
not
it
for me. I don't know what's going on there. Okay. Fellas, hello. We need to pick a flex. Cedric Tillman once again or DeAndre Hopkins. The Kansas City Chiefs going up against the Carolina Panthers. McAdoo, are the Panthers good now? They've won 2 in a row. Fresh off a bye.
Anything you think that they're good at, they're going to get fucking stopped this week. And Patrick Mahomes is probably going to prove who he is this week. I think that you have to go Hopkins regardless. I think he's going to have one of those showout games with the way the Chiefs. They didn't get embarrassed last week, but they're pissed off after last week.
100%. You can't go. You can't steer away from that matchup, especially when you consider the elements that are going to be involved in tonight's Browns-Steelers game. Steelers a tough matchup as it is. I would say DeAndre Hopkins is probably close to a wide receiver 2 this week. So if you're putting him in the flex versus Tillman, who truly is probably in the flex range, maybe even a low-end flex at that, depending on how you want to factor in the weather tonight, you would have to go DeAndre Hopkins there. Also from Bryce, is Chris Boswell a solid start tonight? Kicker for the Steelers, McIndoe, in the elements. What do you think? A kicker question. I love it.
Yeah, Bruder's still here. He's not happy with this question, but you got us. So I'm not changing my kicker out. I'm keeping Boswell. I'm not dropping him. So if that's to help you, good. Because I mean, I don't know what to do with. I don't think they're going to kick anything further than a 40-yarder. Like, it's going to be 40 yards and in, but
I would say you can still start him. If it's a low-scoring game, obviously the Steelers, Boswell accounted for all their points last week, so I think he's still fine to throw in there as a start. Downgrade him a little bit maybe, but in a divisional matchup, you're expecting field goals to be kicked. You're expecting good defense from both sides, so I don't have a problem with it. And one more from Bryce, Flex 1, Najee Harris, George Kittle, Tony Pollard, or Jaden Reed. Another tight end is Brock Bowers, PPR. So he has Bowers as his other tight end along with George Kittle. So I'm assuming he needs to start one of those two, and then we're picking from the rest for flex. So Bowers, obviously, with the Raiders going up against the Broncos. Based on how you have felt about wide receivers going up against that Denver secondary, I'm assuming that you are okay with having Bowers there. The Raiders don't do a whole hell of a lot in terms of throwing the ball down the field. I like Kittle this week, though, as well. And then Najee Harris tonight, I think he's going to still see plenty of run, especially if the Steelers can't throw the ball. Tony Pollard made my running back column as a sit this week, so gives you an inkling how I feel there. And then Jaden Reed against the Niners. What are you thinking? We can only have one.
I mean, I think it's the right spot in starting Bowers at tight end because he's looked phenomenal as a rookie. Now she's probably touchdown dependent. Would you feel, is that agreeable there?
Yes and no. Like, last week he did really well and never found the end zone. So tonight, I would say probably a shift back to being more touchdown dependent to give you a true, like a really good game. I think there's a stable floor there with Najee Harris weekly.
Yeah, I'm probably leaving Najee for that reason. Just hope for a touchdown. Kittle has been like hit or miss this year. I feel like he's either boomed or bust, and I don't trust him this week against the Packers defense.
George Kittle is questionable. He was limited in practice today. Looks like he was the same yesterday. He should be fine. Only 4 targets last week. He did find the end zone. Past few weeks, George Kittle's really been doing well. I would probably start him in the flex. And then I just kind of avoid the weather game altogether. If the Browns are able to stack the box because you can't throw it whatsoever, we don't know. I think Najee Harris is fine. I think he's a comfortable RB2 based on the floor. But I would probably go Kittle.
We just had a comment come in. Possibly no Purdy this week, which I did know he is day-to-day still.
Yes. I was reading up on that, and from what I saw, it looked like he'd be okay. But I'm going to trust that Bruner probably knows a little more on that than I do. So that's the risk you run there, I guess.
Just stick some fucking turtle in it and let him throw out there and throw.
No comment. That would mean Joshua Dobbs would probably get that start for the Niners, right?
Rocket Man.
And Bruner
Is that what they call him,
he
Rocket
could not
Man?
complete practice today. I think so, because he's an aerospace engineer. Him and my brother are smart people. I'm just on here trying to talk about football.
What the fuck do we know?
It all depends on how you want to play it, Bryce. You know, if you want to take the risk with Kittle and Brock Purdy, he would be my preferred option. I don't think I would hate Jaden Reed either. And then Tony Pollard is also worth monitoring because Tyjae Spears is in concussion protocol. So if he misses this week, even though I have Pollard as a sit in the article I talk about, if Spears is out, you probably are having to start him just based on the Titans don't really have much else there. It's not a great matchup against Houston, all of that, but I think there's a way out for you if you elect to wait and not use Najee Harris tonight. But McAdoo likes Najee Harris, so you're getting a little bit of everything here. So if you want to just avoid the headache altogether, I guess it might be Harris at this point because there's more injuries. You got to monitor a couple different situations there. So let's keep going. Kevin Boost-check on X. Hello. Worried about Chris Boswell in this weather. It could help, though. He can't afford to drop anyone, so thinking he's going to rock with him. Yep, we kind of talked about Boswell already. I'm cool if you start him. Maybe a slight downgrade. Try not to worry too much. It'll be okay. Martin Cruz on X. Jerry Jeudy or Rashad White in PPR flex. This has to be Rashad White.
Yeah, why did my mind go to Roddy White? Or we go back in fucking 2010?
I don't know. Maybe you are. What were you, 12 back then?
Yes.
Look at me. The young McAdoo.
Quick math.
Strapping young lad at that. Rashad White, I like him and Bucky Irving this week. I think they're both in the RB2 range against the tanking New York Football Giants who just don't want to pay extra money, I guess. Cool there. Kyle Woods, no wind in Cleveland shouldn't affect passing.
Good. You skipped over the question. I don't have to say it.
What's that?
I said you skipped over the question before I could say anything. I don't have to say it.
This?
No, the other one that you just answered because I didn't want to say certain person start.
Oh. I don't know. I don't know what you're referring to. I'm missing someone.
Jeudy or blank White.
We just did that.
Yeah, I didn't answer.
Oh, do you want to start Jerry Jeudy?
No. Just keep skipping. All I'm going to say is do not start Jeudy, and I'm not saying the other. I'm not going to say the reverse because fuck Rashad White. That piece of shit should be replaced by Bucky Irving soon.
They both have roles. They both have different skill sets. Rashad White's good in the passing game. Bucky Irving between the tackles. They can both play. They're both producing. Get over it.
I don't care. Bucky Irving should be RB1.
And then we just have Bruner saying the stuff about Brock Purdy. Okay. I think we're all caught up on the chat for the moment, but keep firing away whatever you got. I don't think my connection is great, McAdoo, so if I do miss something in there, let me know. In the meantime, we've been talking about some of the running backs I've included in the Stardom Stidham column this week. So we can jump there, and then McAdoo can rip me for my picks if he so desires. I will start with that Buccaneers backfield because, Zach, you don't like Rashad White, but I have both Bucky Irving and Rashad White as starts this week against the Giants. The Buccaneers nearly supporting two top 25 running backs on the season at this point. Irving's still the RB27, White's the RB23. And despite neither of them playing more than 64% of the snaps since way back when it was only Rashad White early in the year, they are both producing, and they're producing solid numbers most weeks. Does Mike Evans returning cut into that a little bit? Maybe, but I don't think so. I think both backs are still going to be really involved. And obviously, the Giants' defense is what it is. They've allowed the fourth most rushing yards per game and over 23 PPR points to opposing backs. So I think both White and Irving are fine in this game this weekend. Meanwhile, you'll have Tommy Cutlets on the other side. So Tampa Bay should have plenty of opportunities with the football because I don't know that the Giants are going to sustain many drives. Are you with me on this? Or would you be saying to sit one of these guys? What's your breakdown? Because clearly you are frustrated with White.
Yeah, I've never I shouldn't say never like White, but he had so many carries last year, didn't do anything with it. I don't think it's a bad play. I think the Bucs are going to be, with how bad the Giants are, the Bucs are going to be probably ahead by a lot. So throw the ball early, run the ball late, that type of scenario here. Especially with Mike Evans coming back, which put him in your lineups. That's going to help out that Bucs offense. And like you said, we don't know what Tommy DeVito we're going to get this year. So is it going to be turnover Tommy? Is it going to be a touchdown Tommy? To be decided.
The one thing I will say about DeVito, if you are in a situation where we got 6 teams on bye this week, if you need to throw him in there as a streamer, the Buccaneers defense is bad against quarterbacks in terms of fantasy. Tommy DeVito showed last year he can deliver an accurate ball. Now, he stands in there and he takes sacks and that sort of thing, holds the ball too long, yes. But he didn't have Malik Neighbors last year either. So now you got Neighbors, you got Wan'Dale Robinson. I think you could do worse, especially if we're thinking garbage time like you just alluded to. So maybe throw him in there if you have a situation where your QB's on bye.
It should be Drew Lock, damn it.
Yeah,
I want Horsecock Lock out there.
$5 million or whatever it was. Let's see here. Back to the article. The other start I had, McAdoo, is Kareem Hunt. I don't think Isaiah Pacheco comes back this week. I could be wrong about that. If he's back, I don't think it's going to be for a whole lot of work. Based on the severity of the injury, I think there's a true ramp-up period there. I also don't necessarily think Kareem Hunt phases out of this offense entirely once Pacheco is back at full strength, but that's kind of a different conversation for a different day. As far as the matchup, whether Pacheco is there for a few touches or not, it's the Panthers. They absolutely suck against opposing running backs and the run in general, giving up over 160 yards per game, well over 30 PPR points. Both of those are dead last. So Kareem Hunt's got to be a start.
Yeah, I just looked because my brother has both of them in your 16-team league, so I had to look because I was going to see if we could make a trade there, but no. But Pacheco did get a limited practice in today, so remains to be seen how much he could go Sunday if he is activated. But like you said, how much is that? Because he's going to be on a definite snap count especially against the Carolina Panthers, who knows what Panthers team we're going to get on Sunday. It's going to be minimal bad, or is it going to be like absolute dog shit trash that we've seen out of them?
It's hard telling. With the limited practices thing with Pacheco, I will say he practiced limited last week as well. So we haven't seen a progression there as far as what the practice report is telling us. So if you have him and you're just trying to monitor that situation, I think I still lean towards the Chiefs just wait. It's not like they need him to beat Carolina anyways. We'll do the sits here in the article quickly. We talked about Tony Pollard a little bit, and then I alluded to the fact in the discussion that Tyjae Spears is in concussion protocol. So if he's ruled out, if he can't clear the protocol, Obviously, that means more work for Pollard, who's only had 9 carries in the 2 games since Spears came back from his other injury. I believe that was a hamstring. Um, so at that point, you probably feel a little bit better about him jumping into the RB2 conversation. But even if Spears is out, the Texans have allowed the 5th fewest PPR points to opposing running backs. They have a top 10 run defense. This Titans team is going nowhere. They're going to be trailing. Are they going to force feed Pollard? A lot of concerns there. The volume will probably help if Spears is out, but if Spears is in, there's no way like I can feel good about starting Tony Pollard. The other sit, and then I'll let you comment, was J.K. Dobbins. A lot going on in that Chargers backfield. Hassan Haskins, for whatever reason, is getting goal line opportunities in 2 straight weeks. He fumbled and bumbled with them last week, so Dobbins had to come in and score the touchdown. But the thing that concerns me about Dobbins, not only this week but going forward, is when he's not finding the end zone, he's struggling to give you high-end fantasy production. I believe, let's see here, 4 times this year he's failed to reach the end zone, and those are the same 4 games that he failed to crack double-digit PPR points. Last week he wouldn't have even gotten 10 points had he not scored 2 touchdowns, which is what he did. So some concern there as far as touchdown dependency for Dobbins. Gus Edwards is back in the fold as well. So, he's playing in a backup role, but I think he kind of potentially gets some more carries. Dobbins is already over his career high in carries for the season, for a season, because he hasn't been able to stay healthy in the past. So do the Chargers kind of try to lighten his load a little bit as they're firmly, headed to the playoffs at this point? Do they want him healthy down the stretch? And oh, by the way, Monday Night Football, they go against the Ravens. That's not a defense I want to face. Your thoughts on the sits?
I mean, you hit it right in the head. I mean, Ravens defense that last week didn't allow a touchdown, 6 Boswell field goals. What the fuck, man? But yeah, like you said, you hit it on the head with Dobbins. Edwards gonna take into his carries. Pollard, who knows what's gonna happen there, especially with Tajay Spears. We don't know what's going on with Tajay Spears' head, but I think you're completely right with both of them.
Cool. So, in other words, you're not going to chastise me for my selections this week as much as I thought. I thought you were.
No, you escape week 12 in the first bye Mageddon.
Never mind. Let's talk wide receivers. If you guys have more questions, drop them in the chat. Start them, sit them, week 12, trade deadline, whatever you need help with for fantasy. Playoffs are coming, so anything we can do to help, just let us know. We'll be on for another 15, 20 minutes or so, and we'll hop off before Thursday Night Football. Yes.
I'm only here till 8. What are you talking about, man?
Oh, you clock out at 8. Okay. Well, maybe I'll stay 10 minutes extra if people are in the chat. I don't know. We'll see. Wide receivers in your article. You have Lad McConkey and Mike Evans as starts.
Ladidi McConkey as Key or Peel. I don't know which one. Keegan McConkey, that's who it is, would say. Son of... Okay, but anyways. Yeah, Lad McConkey, the guy out of Georgia who has ruined my fucking team, Florida Gators, for how long. He's made it. He scored more than 10 fantasy points in the last 3 in 3 of the last 4 games, and then the Chargers play host to the Ravens, as we've talked about earlier, on Monday Night Football this week. And the Ravens defense is not that good at covering receivers, as we found out this year. 8 receivers have gained 20 points on the Ravens defense this year, and McConkey, I think he's going to exploit it in the slot. Mike Evans, we've already said he's returning this week. He should be good to go. He had the bye week to come back, get healthy. He's fully ready to go, I believe. If he is actually fully ready to go, put him in.
I like it. McAdoo, do you know the band Strapping Young Lad?
No.
A little disappointed. I thought you would, but Strapping
Is
Young
it
Lad
because I
with
speak
an
too
extra
fast?
T.
Is that what it is? Is there something there?
No, no, it's a good
Okay.
band.
Okay. No, I never heard of him.
You and I have traded some metal in the past, so I thought you might know him. But Strapping Young Lad is one of my one of my more creative, I thought, proud fantasy football team names this year. So just patting myself on the back. Never mind. Sits in the article. You
Go
had
get yourself a
Cortland
fucking
Sutton.
cookie.
You had Cortland Sutton as a sit against the Raiders. We kind of broke him down a lot as he popped up in a lot of questions earlier. You didn't like him because of what he did the first time against the Raiders, which I get. I feel like this is a really different Broncos offense now. So, curious, you can throw some stats at me after we had those discussions earlier. So I'll be curious to see how you broke it down in the article. And then you are sitting CeeDee Lamb as well against Washington. These are bold calls here, McAdoo, given the matchups. So talk to me.
So, Cortland Sutton, he's been great. In his last 4 games, he's averaging 18.55 fantasy points per game. I've loved the guy in the last 4 games. But if you go back to week 5 when the Raiders played the Broncos, the Raiders only allowed 5.2 fantasy points, as we said before, 2 receptions, 32 yards. The Raiders have only given up the seventh fewest points to fantasy wide receivers this year, and it goes down to wide receivers on the perimeter, where to 4th fewest. That's where Cortland Sutton will have most of his snaps this year. This year, Jesus. So, it's not a play I want, especially when you consider only 3 receivers have scored over 15 points against the Raiders: Zay Flowers, Deontay Johnson, and Tyreek Hill. And then, do you want to touch anyone on the Dallas Cowboys offense right now? I don't. Let me rephrase that. Do you want to start anyone on the Dallas Cowboys offense right now? Because I wouldn't touch him regardless, but either way. Cooper Rush is not helping this team out. Yeah, CeeDee Lamb did go for, 18 points, despite having bad quarterback play from Cooper Rush against the Texans. Still, though, there's no hope for this Cowboys offense, especially when Dan Quinn is can we call him a defensive mastermind? He's been pretty good. This week, the Commanders should get Marshawn Lattimore back. Back? He should debut for him. That's only going to make this defense better. And if you look at their last 8 games, they've given up the second fewest fantasy points to receivers. And that is without Marshawn Lattimore, who top 5, top 10 corner in the league.
I'm just kind of disappointed that we don't get Lattimore v. Mike Evans again in a couple of weeks, because Evans is back, Lattimore's coming back. That's what bums me out about this trade. But no, those are good points. My whole thing with CeeDee Lamb is there's no one else there to begin with, so he just gets peppered with targets. Like, you look at the last 5 games, he's had a dozen targets in 4 of them, and the one he didn't, he had 10. So that makes me a little nervous. My question for you, are we going to get Tommy Cutlets v. Trey Lance on Thanksgiving afternoon in Jera's world?
It's going to be Cooper.
I kind of hope it's Trey Lance. What a scene that would be.
We got to believe in Trey Lance.
Hopefully no metals falling from AT&T Stadium roof on Thanksgiving. That would be a disaster. Tight ends, McAdoo, as you are clocking out in 2 minutes, you've informed me. Jonnu Smith with the Dolphins against the Patriots. Sam Laporta with the Lions against the Colts are your starts. So you're back on the Sam Laporta bandwagon this week. And Jonnu Smith has been kind of a revelation. The perceived drop-off that I kind of figured might be coming once Tagovailoa got back hasn't happened. He's still getting targets weekly.
Yeah, I believe that Jonnu Smith has taken over the Jalen Waddle portion of the offense. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? And as a Jalen Waddle owner in Dynasty, it fucking sucks. But it is what it is. And I want to hate Jonnu Smith. He talks shit about Buffalo. I just can't hate the guy because he's fucking good. There's a Jonnu Smith jersey in my closet. Granted, it's a Patriots one, but still. It sucks. But he scored 20 points. 20 plus fantasy points twice since their bye week in week 6. The Patriots not doing so well against tight ends, and Jonnu was able to score 11.1 in their first matchup. And then Sam Laporta, disappointing year. Can we say that? He was supposed to be like tight end 1 or 2, and he's tight end 17. But this week, Colts give up a lot of points to tight ends, so trust them. Now,
All right,
sits. Now, we'll go with sits because I want to get this by quickly. Sits, Tucker Kraft. What the hell has happened to him? He's one target on 93% of the snaps last week. Didn't get a reception. Put up a goose egg. What a disappointment. This week, he's got to go against Fred Warner and the 49ers defense. No bueno. And then Mark Andrews. I mean, it's been hit or miss with him again. I don't trust him against the Chargers this weekend, especially with a team that's only given up double-digit points since their Week 5 bye once, and that was Week 7 against Trey McBride. So,
yeah, I don't love Mark Andrews this week. I don't love him going down the stretch into the fantasy playoffs as well. Ravens have a tough schedule specifically for the tight end position. And oh, by the way, you can't trust him on a week-to-week basis as well. So I definitely concur on him. And then Tucker Kraft, I get your sentiments there completely as well. Last call for questions. McAdoo, do you have to hop off, or do you want to see this thing through for another few minutes?
I got to go. I got to put a bet in for my uncle, and then I got to go do some racing.
You degenerate. Well, thank you for being with us, and you'll be back next week as always. So,
well that's the thing. Next week's Thanksgiving. Are we doing one?
Ooh, that's a good question. We'll have to see what Bruno wants as far as the stream schedule. But
yeah,
we'll let you guys know. Maybe it'll be a Friday thing. Maybe it'll be Sunday morning. Who knows? Black Friday starts it. Bam. McAdoo, thank you. I will try and bring this thing home. If anybody else has anything for Week 12 for trades, holler at me. You got about 10-15 minutes. I'll stay on until kickoff. In the meantime, we covered the startup sit-em articles, and there's all kinds of other great stuff over on FLURRYSports.org. You got the weekly rankings. Bruner's been doing some insights with those as well for the different positions, so if you want to check those out too. Even if you don't have the players, I find some of them to be just really interesting tidbits to read. And then he's got his rest of season rankings up there. Trade deadlines in a lot of leagues this week, so if you have a weak spot on your roster, now's the time to try and address that. You can't count on waivers this late in the season to plug those holes, especially if it's a starting lineup problem, if you had lost somebody to injury or whatever. So try to take care of that. A lot of leagues, the deadline is this week. There's a few guys that I've seen kind of being floated around as buy low and then also sell high. And you can base a lot of it on schedule too. I know the Week 14 buys, we brought that up at the top of the show. Those throw a wrinkle into things. But just by looking at the schedule of the players on your team, obviously sifting through those buys and whatnot, you can kind of get a feel for where you might be weak on different things, different positionals-wise in the playoffs too. And so maybe trying to make a trade away from a guy who has a poor playoff schedule, or if you have multiple guys with poor playoff schedules, all right, if I move one guy, get somebody who's a little bit better, does that kind of balance it out for me type thing? So just a lot of different things to play around with. Another thing that's over on the website, Bruner did individualized team strength of schedules for the fantasy football playoffs. So you can go through every single NFL team is posted, I believe, at this juncture. So you can find out, are they good for quarterbacks in 1 week, not so good for running backs in another? Is the schedule shit across the board for the entire fantasy playoffs? So A lot of things to consider there. And just put feelers out, man. You might get an owner who's desperate for trades. Take a shot. That's kind of how I feel about the trade deadline in a lot of these leagues. So just see what you can get. Buddy, you're bad. Hello. Should I sell high on Derrick Henry? Rough schedule coming up. It is Derrick Henry, and it is the Baltimore Ravens, which are, obviously a run-oriented offense. So what I'm going to do to try and help answer this question and just give you numbers to go along with it is, let me see if I can find the strength of schedule article for the Ravens. I got another good way to do this as well, because I was not prepared for that. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I didn't have those ones even close to being pulled up. All right. Derrick Henry, double-digit carries every single game. He scores a touchdown virtually every single week. Last week was his worst game. It came against arguably the best defense in the NFL, the Steelers. A couple things to consider here with Derrick Henry. You got the Eagles. Next week, you got the Chargers. This week, both considered to be decent defenses. I like his prospects, I think, against the Chargers a bit more than the Eagles. Then you got to buy in week 14. So my first question to you would be, when you're thinking about selling high, are you contending for a playoff spot? Are you locked in? Because if you need him in week 14, or you need a quality running back for week 14, probably might want to consider selling. And you go on to say you traded him for Sutton and Jacobs, Cortland Sutton and Josh Jacobs. Let's see here. Josh Jacobs and the Packers. On the surface, I don't hate that. Their bye's out of the way. They have the Niners, the Dolphins, the Lions to finish out the standard fantasy regular season, assuming your playoffs start in week 15, and then Seahawks, Saints, Vikings. I don't mind Josh Jacobs whatsoever. Is he Derrick Henry? No, but I can get on board with, or see why you're concerned about Derrick Henry down the stretch here, just based on the schedule and the bye as well. Cortland Sutton, obviously, his stock kind of on the rise, just based on how Bo Nix and the Broncos offense has been playing. He's had 8+ targets in 4 straight weeks, 7 receptions in 3 of those. I don't think I mind that at all. The Broncos have the Raiders, the Browns, week 14 bye along with Baltimore, so you're negating it there. In the fantasy playoffs, though, you got 2 very friendly matchups against the Colts defense and then the Bengals in championship week. So I don't know that you necessarily I don't know if I want to call this a sell high, but in my opinion, you got your money's worth. Let me see here. Henry's stock, I feel like, can only go down somewhat rest of season, just based on what he's been. He's still going to be a stud, especially in that offense. Like, I don't think it's going to be a drop off relative to previous years in Tennessee, but I still like Josh Jacobs and I like Cortland Sutton, so I don't know that I would necessarily call it a true sell high, but all right, cool, your team's here. Let me take a look. Team now consists of Jaden Daniels, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, Nico Collins, Cooper Kupp, Brock Bowers, Cortland Sutton, Terry McLaurin. I love your receiver quartet. I think I like adding Sutton to that group. Chris Boswell, Dolphins defense. I'm gonna assume that's your starting lineup, and I mean that's a fine starting lineup. What's your record, or where are you at as far as the playoff push? I'd just be curious to know that as well, since we've been talking shop here. Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't know that I would go so far to say as I was selling high. but we're selling very high. But you got a 2-for-1. You got a solid running back in return, and sometimes you just have to go with your gut on these things. Like if you don't like the schedule, and you feel like you have stats or reason to support that, I can't blame you. It's going to be interesting to see where the Ravens go, I think, after last week. They can't beat Pittsburgh. Got another tough one, 2 tough ones here the next couple of weeks, and then the bye is really late. So a lot of people saying that they have essentially lost out on the AFC North title at this point. So that'll be curious to see just kind of how they respond. And it is your starting lineup, so I have no qualms with that starting lineup at all. 7-4, fourth place. Yeah, McLaurin kind of laid an egg last week. Not a full goose egg, but he laid an egg. And you got Taysom Hill there as well. Should you start Boswell or Bates this week? I would still play Boswell. I believe. Well, no, the Lions have the Colts. Jake Bates, especially with the weather concern, you have to go Jake Bates there. That would be my read on it. And you're 7-4. You're in fourth place. So, I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes you just got to take that chance and see what happens. I'm not mad at the trade by any stretch. So if it feels like I'm against it, I'm not. I'm kind of still trying to process if I would have done that in that position, I think. Sometimes I like to hold. This year I've tried to make a point of putting more trades in myself here in the couple weeks leading up to the deadline. Just, to have fun and kind of see if I can gain an edge somewhere. See what people come back to me with, which I get a lot of ridiculous offers back too. So it's a fun time sometimes. War Eagle 2178 defense question: Steelers, Vikings, or Lions? Obviously Steelers tonight. Vikings, they are they are on Sunday against the struggling Chicago Bears, and then the Lions against the Colts. I would still go Pittsburgh. I don't know how you can have the Steelers defense and not start them. I know the Vikings defense is schemed very well, but you have to go Pittsburgh there, especially with weather being a factor, and the Browns' offensive line is going to be completely overmatched in this game. So, be Steelers for me. I don't expect a whole lot to happen. I don't care, honestly, if it's clear skies and whatever tonight. I know we've had some Thursday night football shootouts recently. These are AFC North rivals. They hate each other. I expect defense to rue the day. Browns plus 3.5 too. If anybody's looking to get a last second bet in before kickoff, how is the line 3.5 when the world's on the Steelers and the Steelers are great ATS, way better record wise, smells fishy. So the only way you can play this spread is the Browns. I didn't get McAdoo's pick before he got off, so I'll give you mine. Browns plus 3.5. Kyle Singer, hello on YouTube. Pick one quarterback flex full PPR: Tua or Jordan Love, and Ricky Pearsall or Justice Hill. Okay, this is a fun one. Let's see here. Dolphins have the Patriots, Jordan Love, and the Packers have the Niners. It would have to be Tua for me. That's close. Jordan Love's turning the ball over. I feel like it's every week now he has an interception. I can't say that I've gone through every box score to see, but just some bad throws. A lot of people have been let down. But as far as their expectations for him last year, and it's almost like some smart Packers people around these places, these parts, were kind of onto this. I don't know. I'm not going to claim to be a Packers insider myself, but I would go with Tua. And then as far as the flex, Pearsall's in that game against Green Bay. Only had 2 targets, I think it was, last week. And then you got Justice Hill backing up Derrick Henry, which kind of goes back to what I was saying. Like, how are the Chargers going to choose to defend the Ravens? Are they going to just try to bite the bullet, stop the run? Are they going to cover the pass? Like, that matchup between the Harbaughs is going to be interesting. I would probably go Justice Hill as the flex, especially if you're just looking for some, solid production. I think there is a little bit of a PPR floor there. So, whereas Pearsall, we saw last week, the floor can completely fall out. So I don't know how you start him with much confidence right now. You are also forced to start Nick Chubb. So Chubb anytime TD plus 150 you down. I would have to pass. I think I would need a little more because it's against Pittsburgh. I would need a better price. But thank you for dropping the like. If you do make that bet, sure. I hope it comes through. I'll be pulling for you, Kyle. Browns plus 3.5 though. He's managed to lock that in. I feel smarter about that than I do anytime touchdowns. I'm not gonna say that's my thing. And Bruner thought it was Kyle Sigler for a sec. All right. Good stuff. Yeah, just because it's against Pittsburgh, I think I would want more than plus 150. Has Chubb found the end zone since he got back? I don't know if he has. I know it hasn't been great. Oddly enough, I didn't stash him anywhere for whatever reason. Okay, he found it in the first game back. And the Steelers, just because I'm curious at this point, they've given up 8 rushing touchdowns to opposing backs, so why not throw 50 on it? There you go. Books are refusing to post field anytime TD lines. I heard that actually, and it was from some smart people out in Vegas, and they were not too happy about it. Interesting because you have to think maybe the weather, they have him run or they do some crazy stuff tonight. So, why do books refuse to post anything? That's what I want to know. You guys have the edge as it is. It's bet 11 to get back 10, on, and we have all these rules on what you can parlay and yada yada, and you guys can't throw up lines. There was something ridiculous this week. Let me see. Oh golly, I'm not gonna remember it. There was a ridiculous futures price. I'm not gonna remember it. I go through so many podcasts driving down the road, I lose track of everything I hear. But there was something that was like 25, 35 to 1, and it should have easily been like 150 to 1. Some NFL futures player something. But stuff like that. Like, you're not posting stuff. You're throwing odds out there like that. Like, what are we doing? So, anyways, that's I guess that's why the casinos just keep getting bigger and bigger. People say they go back to Las Vegas, and it just keeps growing, and that's this is what it is. All right, well, game is kicking off, so we'll go chat out North Carolina State, Georgia Tech on the college front tonight. If anybody's doing some college football action, might have to check that out myself. If the NFL is a snooze-a-thon, defense, whatever, but division rivalry, I think it'll be a good one. You got a couple good games there, so good stuff. Thank you, everyone, for being with us tonight. Again, FLURRYSports.org. So much good stuff over there. Bruner dropped this in, and I missed it initially. I saw it when I was talking about questions. But if you like what you saw tonight, if you like what you see on any of the shows, reading the articles, there's a new membership that gets you a bunch of exclusive stats and data. You get the full trade value charts across all positions. You get access to a group chat to ask any of us fantasy questions, or all of us, and we'll all try to answer whenever. So good stuff there. Check that out if you are so inclined. It could be the difference between winning and losing in the fantasy playoffs. Who knows? So if you hop in there, it'll be fun to talk to you, and we will do our best to help you bring home the gold. Because I know a lot of people have a lot invested in this. So, yeah, that is there as well. All the articles we mentioned. Flurry Sports on X. Get those articles tweeted, posted right to your timeline so you don't miss those as well. Thank you again. Enjoy the games. Have a great week. And myself and McAdoo will be back soon for